record of greenhouse gas emission. You relate it?
Highest or lowest?
The highest. The highest. The worst one. Which one?
America.
America? We think America?
England.
England?
Maybe China.
China?
France.
No, it's not. No way. No way. Okay, the record is for China. China is the worst one, and in fact, thanks to the COP21 in Paris in 2015, so 3 years ago, a lot of countries took the engagement of reducing their CO2 emission, and most of these countries are this one. The problem is that even if these countries can lower their CO2 emission, the emerging countries like in Africa will higher their CO2 emissions. So it's not going to decrease in the next years. I hope it will, but apparently it doesn't. So do you have any idea of what is the first consequence of the rising of greenhouse emission? It's pretty obvious. Which one?
Rising temperature.
Yeah, exactly, rising temperature. CO2 emission and greenhouse gases emission leads to atmospheric warming, so the temperature rises. And the problem is that we observe the melting of the ice cap and the rising of the water levels. And do you know how high the water will rise by 2100? Do you have any idea?
10 meters.
10 meters? It's a lot. It's huge.
Oh.
1.5 meters in 80 years, so it's not so far, but do you have any idea of how it will higher by 2,500? 15 meters, yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty huge. And I will give you some concrete example. For example, this is Rotterdam, and you can see Rotterdam in 80 years and in 300 years. All the Netherlands with Rotterdam and Amsterdam will be underwater. And this is in New York. So you can see that a big part of New York will be underwater also. And this is Guangzhou in China, also a disaster. And this is in Korea, in Incheon. You have a beautiful new airport with a new terminal, but maybe in 100 and maybe in 300 years, your airport will be underwater if we don't build anything. The problem is that if you build something against higher of water level, it will not be good for the environment. And we have also some social issues like the rising of the population. For example, we will be more than 9 billion in 2050 and maybe 12 billion in 2100. So we have more and more inhabitants in the world, and in the same time less space to live on the earth. So it's a big problem. And we can also add the fact that maybe by 2050, 70% of the population will live in seaside towns. So maybe these towns will be underwater in 100 years. So these environmental and social issues lead to different projects such as flooding cities. And here's an example of a kind of these cities in Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Half boat, half house. These hybrid homes make up a brand new district of Amsterdam, Eiberg, an artificial island just a few kilometers from the city centre, and now home to 55 floating family homes and another 20 houses on stilts. Locals like Willem Blokker enjoy feeling so close to nature.
Het is ongelooflijk stil.
We're so quiet and light here. And you're much more aware of the elements. You can hear the rain beating down on the roof. And whenever there's a storm, you can see lightning illuminating the skies.
So Amsterdam is a small example, a simple example, because it's very new, but the concept maybe will be developed to something bigger in the next years. So this is a video imagined by architects and civil engineer for a French company. The name is Bouygues Construction. And they imagine the city, the future city with skyscraper, but also a city underwater. And you'll see just after. So this is floating city, and this is the underwater cities with also sea scraper or thing like this. So for now, it's just a concept, but before showing you some advanced example, I'd like to talk with you about what do you think about floating city? Do you think it's a potential to develop, or it is a utopia? So we have two types of arguments. So positive arguments, and you can say, what do you think, what do you hope for a floating city, and what do you think that are the advantages of a floating city, and also what do you think it's a utopia, and why do you think it's not possible to do that? So if you have some ideas for floating city or against floating cities. Yeah.
As an advantage, like you can actually plan a floating city very well, which can make the human life very simple and very fast and very convenient. So living on these very good planned floating cities would be very easy for us.
Easy to live.
It will be very convenient.
Yeah. Oh.
No traffic problems, no.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's true. The atmosphere is very good. Also. Yeah.
I think it has a disadvantage because of the environmental issues, such as the tsunami or something type of disaster. We can the city is hard to enjoy.
Hard to enjoy because of?
Disaster, such as the tsunami or.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So natural damages and okay.
But the tsunami would not hit the city. It only hits the coast. It's not on the coast.
But some waves are hit the.
It can be on the coast. It can be. It depends on where it is.
Yeah.
But you have also some disaster in the sea. Yeah, it's true.
I think the floating space, another problem is the mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes, yeah.
The mosquitoes, their baby is born from the water.
Yeah, because of humidity also maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What would be the problem to the environment of marine life? We can disturb the environment of marine life.
Yeah, it's true. Like this. Yeah.
There may be a problem of making drinking water.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but today we already have some solution. For example, in Africa, they put some pills in the water and it makes drinking water. So maybe we can do this with seawater. Yeah. Do you have any positive arguments? Yeah.
I think the floating cities can be a utopia for fisher.
For fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for fishing. So.
Yeah.
Good for tourism.
Yeah, also. Okay, so what you said is true. Another thing is that we have some way to house a lot of people in floating cities. And like you say, for fishing, for agriculture, for farming, it's pretty easy because you have the water all around you. And it's also easy to live, and you have the light of the water. And you also can insulate your cities thanks to the water properties. The problem is of the durability and the ocean pollution also, you're right, and it's quite difficult to insulate floating cities and in a city you have some electrical parts, so it's difficult to insulate. It's very expensive for now. And the main problem is a legal problem because some people are investing in the problem of individual property. You cannot build your own cities in international sea. So it's a major issue today. So now we'll see some projects that are developing today. For this one is Greenfield. So Greenfield is a project that was designed as a carbon neutral city, and it's a bunch of islands. I had another. Yeah. It's a bunch of islands that are connected, and at the center of each island would be an eco skyscraper that will have multi-uses, including offices, farming, and residences. And each island can house between 10,000 to 50,000 people, so it's pretty huge. And this project is Harvard City. Harvard City was designed by the architect who wanted to find a way to help Haiti after the devastating earthquake. So they created Harvard City, and the outer part of this city is for farming and agriculture, and the inner part is for commercial center and housing and industry also. So it's going, maybe it could be developed in the next 40 years. This project is standing. I'm pretty attached to this project because it's for the French Polynesia. So enter to the seabed, the floating city should contain housing or shopping center also. And its inhabitants should produce their own energy and treat their own waste. So this project is going to be developed by a company in the Silicon Valley, and the French inhabitants of this island are pretty attached to this project because it's a way for their students to be in touch with the big inventors of the Silicon Valley, and it's a way to fight the brain drain of Polynesians who leave the island to find work. So it's pretty important for them. And the main project for today is ICORA, the name is also Lily Park. Yeah. So this is a project developed by a Belgian architect. His name is Vincent Caillebout. It's a well-known project because these cities were designed for people, for refugees of global warming. And each island could house between 20,000 and 50,000 people. And the lily pad, it's this one, would release zero emission and would be powered by renewable energies only, and using solar or wind or biomass energy. And ICORA is made up of tentacles that make their own energy underwater. I have a video of ICORA. So this city would be made by additive printing from packaged algoplast and also algae. And so they can make this material by the waste that are contained in the ocean. So today you can think it's a utopia, but the feasibility of algoplast is currently under study in Berkeley University. So it's not so utopia. And the living condition could be really good on this island. It's pretty useful for agriculture and farming because you have the water all around you, and you can also produce energy in the seabed, and use this energy in the island. It's very designed, but it's just a concept. So here are my references. So to conclude, I hope you learned something about floating cities, but above all, I hope you have become aware of the risks of greenhouse and CO2 emissions for the planet, because all of these projects are really beautiful, really nice, but they are just concept today. and the concept is not ready. So we have to try to give to this project a lot of time, and to give some time we have to reduce our CO2 emission and our greenhouse gases emissions. So thank you for your attention, and if you are more interested about floating cities, you have a lot of videos on YouTube and a big documentary which is really interesting. Thank you very much.